Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Aisha Mishra, your host and host of all these live webinars organized by Education Nest only for you. We are here again with yet another webinar brought to you by Education Nest. Have you ever imagined that what if artificial intelligence gets into healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and medicines? What if we could predict side effects before testing begins? What if tailored treatments to your DNA we can talk about? It sounds futuristic to you, right? Well, it's already happening. And today we have some incredibly special to take you through this journey. I would like to introduce you to our expert of the session, Dr. Kavian Rajesh. Hello, Dr. Kavian. I welcome you to the platform of Education Nest.
Hello, Aishi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. And to this, I would like you to introduce to the topic of today's webinar. It's deep learning in pharmaceuticals, revolutionizing drug discovery and development. And with this, I would like to give you all a small and brief intro about our expert. Welcome with me, Dr. Kavian Rajesh. Dr. Kavian Rajesh is a distinguished thought leader in cloud security, artificial intelligence, and deep learning for our upcoming session. This session, Deep Learning in Pharmaceuticals, Revolutionizing Drug Discovery and Development. Dr. Rajesh holds a PhD in Computer Science and Systems Engineering from Andhra University with a research focus on deep learning. With over 17 years of academic and industry experience, he currently serves as a subject matter expert at Cloud Tech Technologies, where he delivers advanced training and consulting on Microsoft Azure, cybersecurity, and AI-driven architectures. He is a recipient of the prestigious Microsoft Global Award. Dr. Rajesh is also the author of an expert-level Microsoft cybersecurity book and a prolific technical blogger contributing to both academic literature and professional learning platforms. His work spans cutting-edge topics such as image recognition using CNN, secure cloud infrastructure, and AI applications in healthcare and compliance. In this session, Dr. Rajesh will bridge his deep technical expertise with practical use cases in the pharmaceutical industry, from accelerated drug discovery and clinical trial optimization to personalized medicine using genomics and patient data. Hello, Dr. Rajesh. I welcome you again and for joining this session today for our lovely audiences and delivering a deep lecture on this topic. While I was introducing yourself to my participants, we heard that you are a Microsoft Global Award winner. Would you like to give a brief about this to our audiences? How did this happen?
Yeah, thank you so much, Aishi, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you all for joining the session. Yeah, you asked about Global Award.
Yeah.
And this happened because of my trainings that I have done across the globe.
Okay.
So various participants from various backgrounds have attended my training. And as you know, finally they give the feedback. So the feedback was almost 5 out of 5 in every training. And the comments were also good. And there were no escalations on me because we also measure that. We, in the sense, Microsoft measures that. So based on these parameters, and always being engaged in various categories of trainings, the award was declared.
Well, congratulations to you, Dr. Rajesh,
Yes.
on behalf of me and the whole team of Educationness, and definitely from my audiences as well. So, without further ado, let's dive right into this very deep, insightful, and a learning session. Over to you now, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aishi. So, hello all. Welcome to the session. I'm going to share my screen with my presentation. Yeah, hope my screen is clearly visible.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation, Aishi. So, yeah, we are going to discuss about this concept, deep learning in pharmaceuticals, revolutionizing drug discovery and development. So, as Aishi introduced, I am Dr. Kevin Rajesh. Basically, I am an academician first, and then after that, anything else. So, I have done my PhD in the area of deep learning, and I have lots of interest towards artificial intelligence. So, this topic also suits my area of interest. So, that is the reason why I hope it will be very useful for all of you. Nowadays, we are seeing there is a lot of demand for artificial intelligence. People are running behind artificial intelligence. They want to learn it. They want to apply it at every level. So, as a part of this, now you all know that drug discovery and development is a very crucial area of research. As we are going through various pandemics, as we have seen so many new kind of issues which we have not predicted as well in terms of health. So obviously the drugs are very much needed, and discovery of the drugs and development of the drugs is very very important. That too with the advanced technology applied to it in a best possible manner, it will be very useful. But I will be going through very traditional approach rather than going with a modern approach, because nowadays people are going to traditional fields. So there is a lot of demand. So I will be taking Ayurveda. So I will be taking Ayurveda as a key important parameter in our discussion. So beginning itself, I wanted to tell you that this was a traditional practice. This is a traditional practice, and most of the people might be familiar with various categories of medicinal plants. So nowadays we are using drugs and they have lots of side effects. But if we go for Ayurveda, definitely there will be no side effects for any kind of medicine because it is natural. As you know, nowadays there is a lot of demand for natural medicine, natural recovery. So I'm going to highlight in this particular session about this. So before going to the actual discussion, first of all, let me explain you why we are learning deep learning. So previously there were expert systems, right? They were all rule-based systems. So mainly I highlighted rule. In the sense, if you configure a rule, your system will work based on that, right? So it's like a human method of decision making. So I have some inputs, I have some experience in my mind. Based on that, I will take the decision, right? So decision is totally based on the features and rules. For example, I go to a doctor and I tell some symptoms. For example, viral fever. I will tell that I have a headache, I have a fever, I have cold, cough. Then doctor will take the decision based on some test results and prior experience. So doctor decision making is exactly what is called as expert system, because doctor is always treated as an expert. We always go to an expert doctor whenever we get the problem. Same as that expert system works like that one. So you have to convert the rules, say with if else condition. If it is true, do this. Else, if it is false, apply this into a program. And then the rules will be designed by the experts, hence expert systems. So it's very simple. So all the expert systems work based on rules. Please note this point. Okay. And then we have some limitations of expert systems. The thing is that you have to give it lots of data. because we treat data as gold. Getting that much of data is not easy, right? So it has to be given lots of data to make sense from making the rules, right? Not only you are getting the data, you are also making the rules. So both are tiresome practices, and rules are very complex to write as it is a program, right? That means you design the rule with lots of effort. Again, you have to convert into a program. So writing program may take time, and the rules can be inexpressible. In the sense, sometimes everything cannot be expressed in the form of a rule. Everything cannot be if else. Please note this point. So everything you cannot represent in the if else form. If true, do this. Else false, you do this. Sometimes rules may be unknown also. So what I mean to say is that early days expert systems were there, but they failed because of this reason. Then came machine learning. Okay. So your machine learning is nothing but learning from the data. Learning from the data, right? So you are hearing about artificial intelligence, machine learning. These are the topics that you are always hearing these days. So you create programs in such a way that you have the relationship between input data, which is nothing but features and known outputs. So you follow this kind of function, right? U is equal to U cap is equal to f of x1, x2, x3 up to xn. So your output is always a relationship between the input data, where x1, x2 up to xn is nothing but the input data. Please note this. And also I have the need to explain you about artificial intelligence. A. Here itself I will explain. Artificial intelligence in simple words is nothing but to make the machine think like human. Make machine think like human. So nowadays there is lot of requirement in this area. In the sense, we want images to be generated which look like real. We want audio to be generated which looks like real. We want video to be generated which look like real. That is what is generative AI, Gen AI. So simply artificial intelligence, I will call it as AI. Now this is Gen AI, generative AI. Now people are moving from AI to Gen AI, where we are generating image, where we are generating audio, video. Now we can even generate movies. There are so many movies which are being generated by generative AI. So on a whole, artificial intelligence is to make machine think like human, and generative AI is to generate image, audio, video based on the data you give as input. So there are 6 parts of machine learning. See, orally, machine learning, artificial intelligence, they are interconnected topics. That's the reason why I explained them on the same slide. So machine learning, you can treat it as the subset of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is the major term, right? It is the superset of all. Please note this point. And if you see, your machine learning has 6 parts. One is data, the other one is task, and the model. So I don't want to explain all these things in this limited time. But one thing I want to tell you, to start any task or to start any work in your day-to-day projects or some kind of analysis work, first thing is data. It can be textual data, numerical data, image data, audio data, speech data, video data. You can derive those data from social media, websites. It can be in the structured form or unstructured form. Structured means in the form of rows and columns. That data which is there in the form of table. Whereas unstructured data is the one which is in the form of audio, video, right? So you have to see that data to be in specific format for being useful for ML, right? So input data, you have to give image, pixel, data, scans, and output data. it will tell whether it is having a tumor or not. That means one person, X-ray you give, or CT scan you give, or some kind of video you give as input. Just casually, I'm telling you. So your model should be able to predict whether that person has tumor or not. So your outputs will be classification related outputs. Classification means you are telling whether that person has that problem or not. So similarly, task. For your machine learning, task is very important. It can be binary classification. That means classifying into two parts. If, for example, tumor or not. So we have two parts. So that is what is supervised, where we have a trainer to train the model, and we have a environment to give the inputs. So everything is well formatted. Whereas in multi-class, we have multiple classes. It's not that binary. There are no two levels. There are multiple levels, right? Similarly, regression. And in unsupervised task, we have clustering. We cluster into groups, right? And depending on that, we take decision. And we have generation also, like the one which we are now learning, right? Generative adversarial networks, which while taking lots of images as input, they will generate a new image. So that is what we are doing now. For example, we want to generate a new profile picture. We give already existing images as input and it will give you the new image. So that is what is task. And what is model? Model is nothing but you are establishing relationship between input and output, right? So X is the input, Y is the output. So every machine learning implementation should have data, task, and a model. The model can be linear, the model can be polynomial, it can be of degree 5. You can have a deep learning model, which we are going to learn today. It can be neural networks or convolutional neural networks. I will explain you what is neural networks. Don't worry about that. Okay. So similarly, you have loss function, you have learning and evaluation. So I will simply tell you what is loss function is. You are to judge whether the model is better one or not. You have some formulas with square error loss function, cross entropy loss function, scale divergence loss function. I don't want to go into the details. They are very lengthy topics. But I'm giving you an overview. Like whenever you are designing a model, obviously the model should be useful for your organization. So for that reason, you have to calculate the loss. And then learning. So what is learning? See, you have to train the model. You have to give the data and you have to decide on the model and loss function. And we need to come up with the parameters. So finding the right parameters is like a search problem. Right? If we try all the possible parameters, one of the parameter will be giving the lowest loss. Lowest loss means that is the best model. So this is a kind of brute force search mechanism. So we have to try and try and try unless we get the better model with the accuracy of 99%. So the learning should give you the better results. And finally, you have to evaluate. See, you have to check whether the model is good or not. You have to give the predicted output and the true output. So the true output should be very close to your predicted output. If there is a lot of difference, then the model failed. So you have some evaluation metrics like precision, recall, and F1 score. So there is something mathematical. I don't want to test the mathematical part in this session because it is almost 1 hour nearer the session. So I just want to give you the overview that these are the 6 parameters you want for your machine learning, right? Because ultimately, deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, they are interconnected concepts. Okay. So finally, I want to explain you the basics of deep learning. What is neuron? This is called as Metcalfe-Fitts neuron model, where we are having an artificial neuron. So our brain is also full of neurons only. See, your entire neural networks concept is totally based on the functioning of brain. Internal to brain, we have several neurons, and this particular scientist, sorry, this particular scientist has visualized each neuron which we have in our brain in this format. The diagram shows where we have an artificial neuron, we have bunch of inputs, x1, x2, x3, and we have weights, and we have weighted aggregate, and we apply some function on top of it, we get an output. So this is the decision. This is the decision. So you have to adjust the weights in such a way that you get the best possible decision. Sorry. See, anyhow, inputs are unchangeable thing, right? You have to adjust the weights in such a way that you get the best possible decision, and you have some function applying on it. So that function also will play a role in deciding your output, because you have y is equal to f of x. So y is equal to f of x is the base for this particular diagram. So this neuron, bunch of neurons are there in your neural network, right? Now, before going further, I want to explain you what is deep learning is. I will go to whiteboard. Just a minute. Let me stop sharing my screen. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I hope everything is good. Yeah. So I hope my screen is visible. Yes. So first of all, let me explain you what is deep learning is. So what is deep? See, first of all, you derive from this. I already explained you what is learning is. See, I will just give you an example. Right? You take a small kid. You take a small kid, newly born kid. Newly born kid. Right? So if we don't speak to that boy or girl and we don't train them, if we don't train them in terms of speaking, in terms of speaking, will they able to speak? For example, you show mother and you tell multiple times mother. You show father and you tell multiple times father. That means you show an object, right? So basically in terminology, we show an object and we label it as mother. We show another object and we label it as father. So this object to label concept is nothing but training. That means the boy or girl who doesn't know even speaking, they are being trained from their childhood by recognizing the object with the label. Please note this point. Once they start speaking, whenever they see the object, they simply tell the association with that object. So that is how our brain learns. So the same thing is nothing but your deep learning. So in deep learning, we have three layers of learning. One is input layer. One is input layer. The other one is hidden layer. Hidden layer. And the last one is output layer. Output layer. Right? So this is what is deep learning small architecture diagram. Please note this point. So in the input layer, you are giving the data as input. So it can be any kind of data. It can be text data. It can be image data. It can be audio. It can be video. It can be audio, video, whatever you want, you can give as the input. So once the input layer is given with the data, in the hidden layer, the processing will take place. So your deep learning will use multiple neurons. Please note this point. And in turn, it will use multiple neural networks. Each neural network will have multiple neurons. So they are useful for processing. So that is what I told. No, simply I told y is equal to f of x in the previous diagram, where I established the concept of neuron. Right? So this function can be any function based on your requirement. And then based on that, your outcome will be calculated. Finally, the output layer will be helpful in taking the decision. It can be a classification decision related to segregating the objects, which we will be focusing on, or something else for which you are using your deep learning model. So I don't want to go for multiple output layer related concepts. I will just simply tell it is decision. So your output layer will give you the decision in terms of your problem statement. So this is what is a simple architecture diagram of your, this is the simple deep learning architecture, right? So if you understand this, the entire concept is done. So I started from expert systems. Then I explained you artificial intelligence. Then I explained you machine learning. Then I explained you the basic neuron. Then I explained you what is deep learning is with a real-time example, which will happen in every house, right? The object to label association. Then I gave you the architecture diagram of what is deep learning is. See, I'm simplifying the things. I'm not going into the very deep concepts, or I'm not giving you any very huge, bulky concepts. I want to make it very simple in this 1 hour rather than making it complicated. So I didn't do anything. I gave you an input layer, I gave you a hidden layer, I gave you an output layer, combine them. Input layer takes the data in the form of various categories. Processing will be done in the hidden layer to take some decision in the output layer. That is what is your deep learning architecture, which uses neurons and a set of multiple neural networks. And why it is called deep? Because it has multiple layers. 3 layers I have shown, but you can extend it depending on your requirement. Right? That is the reason why it is deep. Okay. Now, what I want to tell you is, so I want to give you how we can apply. Now we have reached to 4:30. So till now I established the concept. Now I have one practical problem which is related to pharmacy. Pharmacy, right? So I am taking Ayurveda, traditional medicinal thing. Okay, leave it apart. You don't take Ayurveda, you don't take modern medicine, whatever it may be. I'm taking pharmacy. But what I am doing, I will tell you in this simple diagram. See, I have a model, right? So since I told Ayurveda, I will take plant leaves. Plant leaves. I will tell you the origin of problem. See, I am trying to apply this particular concept to whatever I told you, the concept of deep learning, AI, ML and all, mainly deep learning, whatever I told you, input layer, hidden layer, output layer. So that concept I want to apply to a natural problem. See, when we go to forest, when we go to garden, we may not identify all the leaves. We are not experts. We are not biological students, or we are not biological researchers. Our background is something else. So classifying the plant leaf is the major issue. For example, you go to forest, you will find so many trees. I'm just asking you one question. Can you identify the leaf of one plant or tree without any information? You have to study a lot. It's very tough task because in forest you will find various variety of plant leaves, tree leaves. So identifying them is the biggest task. And each leaf has medicinal value as per Ayurveda. Please note this point. So every leaf has its own medicinal value. Like Tulsi has so many medicinal properties. We use Tulsi plant leaf for various problems in our day-to-day life. Similarly, different plant leaves you can take into consideration. Now, for this particular problem which I told, identifying a particular leaf without having prior knowledge is the biggest challenge. So I am going to design a model where I will take plant leaf 1, plant leaf 2, plant leaf 3, right? PL4, PL5, PL6. So totally, I am taking 6 varieties of leaves into consideration to train this model, PL1 to PL6, right? So these are the 6 different leaves, plant leaves I have collected. Each PL1, for example, PL1, for example, I collected, let us say, 1,000 leaves. Sorry, not 1,000. Okay. Initially, I have taken 1,000 leaves of all. So PL1, PL2, PL3, PL4, PL5, PL6. In this 1,000 leaves, what I am doing is I'm taking 700 leaves for training and 300 leaves for testing for each category. Training means making the model learn. This is for testing. So testing means I don't show these 300 leaves to that model. I will use it for testing it. So this one 700, this one 700, this one 700. So 700. See, I'm giving a practical approach how we can use it for drug discovery. 700 and this one 700. So totally 6 sevens are 6 into 700 is equal to 4,200. So out of 6,000 leaves, because I'm taking 6 varieties of leaves, 6 into 700 is equal to 4,200. And 300 leaves. This is also 6 into 300 is equal to 1,800. So totally 4,200 plus 1,800 is equal to 6,000. Right? So totally I'm gathering 6,000 leaves, out of which I'm using 4,200 leaves for training the model. And the rest of the 1,800 leaves are not shown to this model. Out of these 1,800 leaves, I just simply pick one leaf. Say, for example, it belongs to PL2 class. Then your model should tell it that it belongs to PL2 class automatically. That means once you have trained the model with these many leaves, 4,200 leaves, now you may get a doubt. How will the model learn? I will tell you. Every leaf has color, unique color, shape, size, texture. You please note this point, right? So these are the 4 important features for every leaf. So what I'm trying to do is, these features will be understood by your model based on the images you give. I will show you the entire thing in the slides. So I'm just establishing what I'm going to help you learn. So all these 4,200 leaves related features are being understood by the model, and based on one test set which you are giving to the model, it should be able to tell, okay, without knowing anything, by seeing the features and by mapping to the already learned features, it should tell that this particular leaf is, for example, PL2, let us say Tulsi. Tulsi leaf is already known to everyone. So that is the reason why I'm using Tulsi leaf. So this model is a Tulsi leaf. It should be able to tell. So in this way, your drug discovery will happen. Drug discovery in the sense, first, Tulsi leaf is the base for your Ayurvedic drugs. Similarly, you have several leaves. I will show you them. I'm just taking the Ayurvedic model. I'm not taking the modern approach, modern model. Okay, now let us go back and discuss what is the overall thing which I am trying to tell you. See, you know that Ayurveda is the ancient Indian system of medicine. And many Ayurvedic medicines are made from the extracts of various parts of Ayurvedic plants. right? So for making Ayurveda more relevant, there is no need for implementing modern scientific methods to this ancient medicinal system. And one thing I want to tell you that plant species recognition is the area where you will be applying computer vision techniques. That is what we are doing in one way, right? We are giving the vision to computer, to the machine. It is able to judge whether this plant leaf is belonging to this class or not. So we are mainly applying deep learning to recognize the plant species based on the leaf image we are given, right? So leaves are useful for plant species recognition. You may get doubt why you are using leaves for plant species recognition. Obviously, because see, how do you judge whether this plant is belonging to this class or that class? Based on the leaf only, because leaf is having unique properties, unique features. Please note this point. So, based on these unique features only, you are able to judge. So, in this thesis work, you can make it as a thesis work also, or you can make it as a BTech project work, or you can make it as a MTech thesis work. Whatever work you are applying, there you can use this kind of model. 7 different Ayurvedic plants or 6, whatever you say. So I took 6. You can make it 7. 7 into 1,000, 7,000. Right? Based on the leaf images. So first thing I want to tell you is that this is a multi-class classification problem. It's not a binary because you have multiple classes, 7 classes or 6 classes, whatever it may be. So you will be also using machine learning techniques for plant leaf recognition because that feature part I told no features, shape, size, color, texture. This totally learning of this is coming from machine learning. I already told you, machine learning is nothing but learning from the data. So totally machine learning techniques are based on the extraction of unique features from the images using the machine learning classifier for classification. So one thing I want to tell you that the recognition accuracy of machine learning techniques for plant leaf image is totally depending on the discriminability of the chosen hand-encrypted features. So your accuracy should be always 99%. You should target for 100%, if not at least 99%. It should be in this range. That means your model should be highly accurate. Then only you can launch it. So there are some networks, neural networks like CNNs. It's a deep learning model only. Don't confuse. It's a deep learning model which has input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. We call it as convolutional neural network, which will see that, which is a name given to this deep learning model. There are similarly several kinds of neural networks. One I have chosen CNN, which will automate the feature extraction process. So it will automatically get all the features, size, shape, color, texture, and designing the appropriate CNN architecture for classification abstract the feature extraction process. So if you are going to generate a deep learning model for this particular problem, drug discovery and classification, especially relevant to pharmacy, you should have the exposure towards designing the model, which will abstract the feature extraction process. So training a CNN model is, which is a deep learning model, highly computational intensive task. And for that, we will be using graphical processing units and tensor processing units. These are high-end, we can simply sell high-end CPUs. Please note this point. You can say in simple words, they are having lots of power because you are giving lots of bulk of data. So you have to train the models. And CNN training is mainly possible when you use very high speed CPUs. Okay. And I have named the model as AyurNet because this the deep learning model is going to classify the Ayurvedic leaves. And it is a lightweight and It is a multi-class classification task where I am targeting about 99% of accuracy. And also I am trying to find out the optimum leaf data set, which is required for training the CNN model. See, training is a hectic task. Hectic task. Please note this point. Okay, it requires a lot of expertise and lots of data is needed, right? So if you want to train the CNN model using this much of data, it's a big decision making task, and finding out the optimum leaf data set. Optimum means the best feasible number is a biggest challenging task. So that also we have to do, because blindly we should not gather the data set. It will make our task very, very troublesome, right? So you have the hardware like GPU, graphical processing unit, and transfer processing unit for training the model. And you have several image recognition models. Just names I'm giving you, like DenseNet 201, Inception B3, ResNet 50, VGG 19, Exception. These are all some models, deep learning models, which have their classification accuracy and they do the classification. Right? First of all, you should have image data set to start this work. See, for any work, drug discovery or something else, medical field you are applying, or retail business you are applying, or healthcare business you are applying. First thing, any work needs data. That is what I told. 6 stages of model designing. First stage is data gathering, right? So you should even go to forests, if not forests, gardens. If not gardens, at least your nearby houses. Gather the images of the plants or trees, pluck them, right? You photograph them, you put it on a white background in a proper lighting condition. Because once the lighting condition is not good, the leaves will not appear well and the model will not train well. Okay? And then these are some of the leaf classes, like eucalyptics. These are all scientific names. I cannot spell rightly. Catranthus rosis, Ficus resolivia, Ravi. We call it as Ravi leaf. Hibiscus rosa sinensis, Mandara leaf. Tulsi leaf is called as Ocimum tenuiflorum. Nereid leaf is called as Syzygium pimeni. Okay, there is a leaf called as Nandivardhanam, which is called as Tabernamontana divaricata. So these are all scientific names. So you please see. In this way, you get to. I just kept some photographs. So almost 7 classes, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is one class, this is another class, this is another class. I'll show you. For example, this is Nandivardhanam leaf, which is used to treat fever, pain, diarrhea. Right? This is Nereid leaf. We call it as Java plum. This is called a spin wheel flower leaf, which is used to treat diabetes. So those who have diabetes, they can use Java plum. These are all scientifically gathered data. I am not telling anything my own. Rose mallow leaf is there. BP generally hypertension, skin diseases, some bitter diseases are there that will be useful to treat this. There is people leaf. People we all know. Bleeding of nose, boils, constipation, dysentery, earache. So we can treat it. So there is in this way, there are several classes of leaves like eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is very good to treat cold, respiratory problems, dental care, fungal infections, skin wounds, muscle and joint pains. So similarly, we have rose periwinkle, Bailey, leukemia, diabetes, sore throat, malaria, eye irritation. Right? Holy basil is used to treat diseases like fever, vomiting, kidney stones, throat infection. So every leaf has its own purpose. Skin diseases, arthritis. So you can use Google Colab, Google Drive, Python, Keras, TensorFlow, leaf image folder structure. You have to maintain like this one folder structure, training set and validation set. Both you have to, here you will be putting 700 leaves, for example, each category. And here you will be putting 300 category. And you will be using languages like Python, Keras, TensorFlow, leaf folder structure you have to maintain. You have to use GPUs, high-end processing. So in this way, first thing is your data set should be processed, pre-processed in the best possible manner. And you should design the model with perfect accuracy. We are calling it as IMF, and it should give you the perfect outcome, right? So that is what we have taken the test, train, and validation also we can put. So 70 is to 15 is to 15. If we put validation, so entire leaf data set, we have to partition like this for discovery. Okay. So this is the calculation part I have kept. Like how many leaves altogether out of 6,000 leaves or 7,000 leaves, whatever you take. And how do you calculate accuracy? So your accuracy is totally based on the number of correct predictions divided by total number of predictions. Right? So in this way, you can use deep learning for a particular area of problem where I told you what is deep learning exactly is, and also I explained you the entire model working as well as how the architecture is. So this is all about the concise information about how we can apply deep learning in a real world problem in solving practical issues. I combine the modern technology with an age old concept like Ayurveda so that we can balance both modern age as well as our traditional field. So this is what I have done in this given time. So yeah, so from my side, I have explained everything which we have taken as the topic of discussion. Yes, Aish, you have any questions? Audience have any questions?
Definitely, sir. Firstly, I would like you to stop sharing your screen. Request you. And so I also listened to the whole session. It was really, really insightful, I must say. And to convert this pharmaceutical or to use Ayurveda and how it is influencing, I think it is very insightful and innovative as well. I believe there are a lot of different kind of inventions happening in the pharmaceutical world. As you are related to this field, would you like to give some insights on it, and then we'll take up the questions?
Yes, that's what I see. As I told, all the present medicines are having so many side effects. So in the pharmacy world, there is a lot of research going on Ayurvedic products as well, because we have seen so many problems. I have notified in the slides also. As of now, the diabetes, blood pressure, we are the India is the diabetics hub across the entire globe. So there are so many people suffering with diabetes. So rather than depending on the medicine, uh, like modern medicine, which may have side effects on age-old people, because aged people will definitely get side effects. Rather than depending on that, by using these kind of modern tools and plotting the actual plants. See, we have so many plants around, but we don't know what is their medicinal value. If you read the entire Ayurveda, for every big problem, there is a very simple solution in Ayurveda. So finding out the correct leaf for correct problem, that is what is our drug discovery in the traditional field. Because each plant leaf is a kind of a drug and it
Definitely.
will resolve so many problems. So I have studied some part of Ayurveda for this work. So that is the reason why I'm able to tell about this.
All
So we
right,
have
sir.
Ayurveda Shastra actually. There is Ayurveda Shastra in Puranas. So it has lot of literature. By studying that, we will get lots of good knowledge in solving the practical problems the modern age is suffering with.
Okay, sir. That was really insightful, I must say, and it will be definitely very useful to the people who are watching it here from the pharma and healthcare sector. So, with this, I would like you all to start asking your questions, post them in the live chat. We'll be watching it, questioning it to sir, and you'll get all your answers. With this, sir, let us have our first question. It is, can you name some popular deep learning frameworks?
Yeah, already I told IC convolutional neural network. RNN, okay, we have ResNet, we have AlexNet. So these are the some popular models which are already there in the market. So any model we can take and we can fine tune it as per our requirement.
Okay. The another question is, what is the difference between deep learning and machine learning?
So deep learning is like a deep model in the sense it has input layer, it has hidden layer, it has output layer. So input layer takes the data, hidden layer processes the data, output layer takes the data. Whereas in machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence and superset of deep learning, it mainly does the task of learning from the data and converting into knowledge. For example, Rajesh session deep learning. It doesn't make sense. So Rajesh is
Yes.
taking a session on
Deep
27
learning.
June 2025 from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on deep learning, applying it to pharmacy. It makes sense. So that is knowledge. The first one is data. So machine learning takes lots of data and it converts into knowledge form. So that
Okay.
is the
So,
difference between deep learning and machine.
as if you have to make someone understand in a very layman language, then how is deep learning, AI, and machine learning are how are they interconnected? If it has to be in a very layman language.
Yes. In simple words, I want to tell you A is the umbrella, superset. ML is the subset of A, and deep learning is the subset of ML. So we have the hierarchy A at the top, ML in the between, and DL at the bottom. So finally, you can say deep learning is a subset of artificial intelligence.
Okay, sir.
So in
Okay.
simple words, I told.
Okay, sir. Fine. I'll move on to the next question. It says, can you give one example in how deep learning has influenced pharmaceutical? Or I guess the our viewer has wanted to ask that how is there any example of pharmaceutical and deep learning?
Yeah, that's what we have discussed. Generally, we can apply deep learning to healthcare. We can apply deep learning to pharmacy. We can apply deep learning to marketing. We can apply deep learning to retail business. So wherever you apply, you have to supply the model with data. Unless you feed the model with data, it doesn't work. So first thing is you have to gather the data and you have to make the data set. And then that model should be trained on the data set. Like we train a small child how to speak. So the small child doesn't know speaking, right? We parents, we try to tell them by showing an object. For example, there is a famous problem called as dogs versus cat. So we show dog object multiple times and say dog, dog, dog. We say cat and say multiple times cat, cat, cat. Once the boy or girl learns speaking, immediately by seeing the object, they will recognize
They
it as
understand.
dog or cat. It's a classification problem. So same like that, here also we are applying that concept.
All right. There is another question. It says, how Ayurveda is affected by AI revolution in pharmaceutical?
Sorry, how?
How Ayurveda is affected by the AI revolution in pharmaceutical?
Yeah. See, Ayurveda is a age-old literature.
Yeah.
So it's totally depending on how we use it. In the sense, nobody is interested in learning the literature which is very old. Generally, we are behind the modern age technologies. So once we dig the details and we get the overall literature, if not overall literature, at least part of it, we can learn so many things. That's what I tried in this particular example, which I have shown to you all. So it is going to affect in a wider way. For example, we are celebrating Yoga Day.
Yes,
This
that's
week
what
only
I'm.
we celebrated yoga. It is a age-old thing. India is the supreme for yoga as per the literature. So now
Yes.
people are from Greece, from Spain, from Russia. They are also doing yoga. So there is like hard exercise. There is gym. Why people are preferring yoga? Because it is giving mind relaxation.
Mind relaxation also.
It is giving meditation kind of thing. It is giving entire body support, and it is curing some diseases also. Say same way. How Ayurveda will influence means if we totally adapt it, if we totally apply it. There were days when mothers, grandmothers, they used to bring tree leaves, just make a
Paste
small
or
syrup
something
kind
like
of
that.
thing and give it to us. But nowadays, people are not doing that. Everything we are taking tablets. So, how it will resolve the issue? So, unless until we practice it, nothing is going to happen.
I believe with the revolution of Patanjali and yoga, there's a lot more focus again on the Ayurveda, which was
Yes,
lagging behind
exactly,
due to the come of the these new modern medicines. But with the coming
exactly,
of this Patanjali and yoga things, I guess we are also now practicing and adopting our ancient old technologies or ancient old Ayurveda tea.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
So let's take another question, sir. It says, what is the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning?
Yeah, supervised learning means there is a teacher, there is a student. That means everything, every learning happens in presence of teacher. That is what is supervised. That means there is a supervisor to make the student learn. But in unsupervised learning, there is no teacher. So the model itself will learn from the data without any supervision. So that is what is unsupervised. If I tell it very technically, in supervised learning, we have label along with the object. Whereas in unsupervised learning, there is no label for the object. So ultimately, it should learn to detect the label and it should make the final decision. That is what is the difference between supervised and unsupervised. Unsupervised supervised means there is a teacher to
Yes,
make
sir.
us learn. Unsupervised, there is no teacher.
Yes, sir. We'll take one more question. It says, what is back propagation in neural networks?
Back propagation means, see, as the name suggests, we learn from back. We come from output to input. In the sense, we adjust the weights, we adjust the values in such a way that if we don't get the final accuracy of 99% or 100%, we come back and see what problem we have done, what error we have done. We adjust all the values and try to make it 100% or 99%. That means back propagation means we come from back to the beginning and we see what the flaws we have done. We adjust the values in such a way that we get the final outcome as the best value. That is what is back propagations.
All right, sir. With this, we have almost come to the end of this session. I would like to thank my lovely audience. I know you have a lot more questions. Please keep them in on the comment box, and sir or Education Net will come back to you. So, before ending this session, to whosoever who is watching from pharma sector, healthcare sector, as it was specifically for them. So, would you like to give any advice if someone wants to take this new thing, deep learning, in their career? Or as an opportunity for their pharma sector or businesses, is there any advice that you would like to give them?
Yeah, my advice is that all these technologies, if we apply in a correct manner without deviating from the ethics, definitely we have the final success. And there is a misconception that artificial intelligence is going to reduce the manpower. It is not like that. We are the human beings superior than any machine or any model, but we should
Great.
know how to use it in a proper manner. Then definitely all the categories of fields will definitely sustain and they will get lots of what you say advantage in terms of their business outcomes. So that is what I want to say.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rajesh. It was lovely to have you with us for this very informative session, and I hope my audience has walked in with a lot of information today. And to you all, thank you so much for being a lovely audience and joining us every week on this informative webinars. We'll be back again with a new webinar on the next week. And till then, don't forget to subscribe the YouTube channel of Education Nest and all our social media handles. I, Aisha Mishra, will meet you again in the next webinar with a next revolutionary topic. Thank you all. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
thank you.